Mr. Haroon is running for a seat for council, and you have 2 minutes for your opening statement starting now.
Thank you very much, Irene. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, our city has the highest property taxes in Alberta, very limited non-residential taxes, and an extreme shortage of entry-level housing. This combination is hindering our progress, hurting our seniors, and hurting our most precious resources, our young people and young families. Our children and grandchildren cannot afford to live here. Successive councils had the opportunity to make things right, but they did not. This has to change. We must give hope to all the residents, all of the ages, to be able to afford to live here, volunteer here, send their kids to schools here, and support our local businesses. With unlimited increases in property taxes and other hidden taxes, the day will come when those taxes will become unsustainable financial burden for many more taxpayers. I'm proposing to limit tax increases to the cost of living in the next 3 years, coupled with a decisive economic development plan aimed at increasing sources of non-residential taxes. We must also change the land use bylaw to allow for smaller lots and restrict the size of homes that go on those lots. At the advice of the Housing Advisory Board, the previous council restricted the size of homes on smaller lots. However, this current council reversed that bylaw. We must also eliminate the annual deficit at Service Place, protect the environment, and clean up the Sturgeon River. We've been talking about this for ages. We must protect green spaces from unwanted development. Priorities must be given to basic infrastructure, crime prevention, public transportation, and additional park and ride. This is my vision for St. Albert, and these are just a few of my priorities. If you share my vision, then get me elected on October 18th, for I have the resolve and the commitment to get things right.
Thank you. Our first question from the media, Glenn Cook from St. City News.
Stanley, you mentioned obviously your involvement with affordable housing and the St. Albert Housing Society, and it's one thing to talk about affordable housing, but how do you see putting in affordable housing without seeing the backlash from the community like we have in Ainsdale?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make it very clear that the Ainsdale situation is not an affordable housing issue. It's a green space issue. Secondly, to start in a new area where you perhaps have very little residents, like we do in Northridge. We're building a 98-unit affordable rental building in Northridge. We have very few residents around that will have any issue with it. And secondly, you have to have smaller lots to build smaller houses on them so that young people, young professionals, your kids, my grandkids, can afford to come and live here.
We've got time for a quick question. Gary Melnick from iNews 880.
I recently read your campaign ad in the newspaper, and there's a lot of detail in that ad about your background and experience. One of the things that caught my attention, though, you talk about efficiencies and productivity. Is there anything that you see in the current administration in St. Albert that needs to be improved in terms of efficiency?
Well, to start with, I am proposing to apply the zero-based budget. The zero-based budget basically will ask a department head to come to us with a zero balanced budget and say, that's what I would like to have to run my operation. Along with that, that department head will have to tell us how he or she can provide some savings in his or her department. I did work with that system in the government very successfully. I work with it in my companies very successfully. That's one way of improving productivity.
Thank you very much. That's your 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Stanley Haroon. Next up, we'll hear from Roger Lemieux, an incumbent on council. And Mr. Lemieux, your 2 minutes starts right now.
Thank you very much, Arlene. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Arden Theatre and the viewers at Shaw Cable. I have served 3 years on City Council, of which I am very proud to say that we govern this city with honesty, transparency, and integrity. I have and I will continue to offer you a good level of business acumen. I owned and I operated a successful business in this community for 30 years, and I'm proud to say that it continues on to this very day by being managed by my son, and it continues to serve the citizens of St. Albert as well as the contractors. In my career as a businessman, I learned the skills required in communicating with the public and sourcing information from them so that I could continually be informed of their needs, and that was valuable. I have proven that I have physical responsibility and the knowledge to understand budgeting and the diligence to govern our tax dollars wisely. The support that I received in the last election indicates that I can be counted on, and I have the trust of the voters. As a city councillor, I have enhanced my knowledge of municipal government beyond my expectations. It's not always been easy, but I met the challenges throughout my whole term. In closing, I am driven by customer service, and that I mean the customer is the most important asset in operating a business. And running the city of St. Albert is a business. And you, the public, are the customer. I will continue to work very hard with our administration, council, and you, the residents, in insisting that we continue as the city of choice for development and remain known as a city that cares about our residents, our businesses, as well as attracting new enterprises.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our questions now from the media. First, from Glenn Cook, Saint City News.
All right, Roger. You mentioned your business acumen, and the 80-20 residential non-residential tax split is something that, I mean, it still hasn't been in the news for a while now, but it still seems to be a goal of the city of St. Albert to get more businesses into town. How important is it for you for St. Albert to reach that goal, and is it still attainable?
It's a great question, Glenn, and it's one that I thought about many times, especially when I ran the first time. Personally, I think our proximity to the city of Edmonton is a downfall because we were noted as a bedroom community, and it's going to take a long time to differ from that. I think that 80-20 is attainable, but I don't think I'll see the day. I'm a very logical person, and I believe that an 85-15 is a pretty good goal, but I really can't see 80-20 being something in the near future. But with the annex lands and the interest that our Join Us marketing program has done, I think there's potential.
Gary?
Let's take that a step further relating to business. You've got, as you've stated, substantial business experience. Now you've been serving on council. So my question would be, what more can we do to attract more business? And I'm not saying industry, but business to St. Albert.
What more can we do to attract business? Well, I believe we have to make our city attractive. And we have to promote our city within the nation, the province, Western Canada, and I believe we're making an attempt to do that. We have good ambassadors working on a program now called, I mentioned before, Join Us marketing program. I believe we have to be more friendly to our business customers. We have to be inviting. We have to serve them like an important customer and want their business and show them initiatives that make it worthwhile to spend their money in setting up a business in St. Albert.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
All right. Our next candidate doesn't have very far to go to the microphone. James Van Dam, you're up. And your 2 minutes starts right now.
Well, hello, St. Albert. My name is James Van Dam, and I'm proud to be a resident here in St. Albert with a loving family that we celebrate on our Family Day Sundays. As you know, I started this campaign 10 months ago, and the purpose of that was really for a job interview here in St. Albert. I wanted to speak with all the residents that I could, speak with city administration and our city councilors, as well as our mayor, Nolan Kraus, and go for coffee with everyone that I could at the time. I wanted to get a 360-degree view of the issues. I wanted to speak to the developers, speak to the citizens, speak to city administration, and just get a full understanding of what needs to be done here in our city. The main things I came up speaking with these folks is our taxes. 8 out of 10 of the residents I've spoke with is saying our taxes are high. And what can we do to eliminate our tax headaches? Well, I'm looking at other municipalities, other provinces, other nations as well, looking at what ways they're reducing their taxes. One of the things is with new revenue streams. City of Edmonton is doing something around doing RRSP contributions for their city for the infrastructure. That's something that we can look at to bring in new revenue streams to stabilize our taxes here in St. Albert. Another thing that's come up is 70 Arlington. I'm for a modified plan to look at 70 Arlington, and we have a lawsuit on our case right now, and we have to assess the risks and see what we need to do in that area to ensure the risks of the cities are of our city is well protected. As well with DARP, it's just a concept right now. We don't really understand the numbers, and we need to move forward and get more information on DARP. Transit and LRT is another thing. We need to be a green community, green city, and we really need to promote transit and carpooling.
Thank you.
And that's the first few items on my agenda here tonight.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
sir. All right, we'll go now to the questions, starting with Gary Melnick.
In your campaign ad, there's a number of things that you state about being driven, dynamic, productive, etc., energetic. And with all the issues that are going on, what do you think is the first priority that you need to work on with your fellow council members if you get elected?
Well, the first priority is the budget. We really need to look at taking a good look at the budget, looking at what we're spending, where we're using our dollars. There's a lot of things that happen in the city where studies are being performed ahead of time, where we need to step back and take a look and see that we shouldn't be spending these dollars quite yet. These are expensive studies that are being done. We also need to look at where our taxes are going. Obviously, we're the highest, and what do we get for being the highest? Well, we need to start looking and making sure our money is spent wisely. So the first priority would be the budget.
Glenn.
James, I know you're a technology guy.
Yeah.
You've been out there on Twitter and Facebook ever since you announced your candidacy, and you talk about finding efficiencies to lower taxes. Is there any way that you can see that the city could use technology better to find such efficiencies?
Well, that's one of the first things I came up with my platform that I noticed, being a technology expert and working in enterprise risk management. I think we need to be more transparent with the taxpayers and with the public. What we need to do is we need to really display what's being spent online, having accessibility to do some data mining and that sort of thing online, so we can tell what needs to be done, where's our money being spent, and where's the transparency going forward with our budgeting process.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, now you get to walk the